This next effect is a pretty cool effect in Fireworks using masking, where you see one image that's been placed inside of another image. It's very common to see this with a lot of television sets or laptops, and in this example we'll take this screen grab of a familiar web page and place it inside of this flat screen monitor. So what we want to use this time is the paste inside technique, and that's because it's a little bit easier to initially create our shape, and then we want to reposition this where we want it, and then pasting it inside of the shape, because we don't really want to move this shape once we get it in place. So let's go ahead and start out, and in addition to this effect, we're also going to take a look at modifying and editing the masked object within the layers panel while the mask is still active, meaning we don't have to ungroup the mask and the object to perform edits. We can do it with the mask still active and benefit from the actual viewing of the mask, but we can work with the two of these images that are the object of the mask as well as the mask independently of each other. So let's go ahead and select the pen tool, and we'll create 4 points around here. I've got it set to a nice bright green. Love that color. And we'll click 1 point up here. Another point over here, and this is a very easy example even if you're not familiar with the pen tool. Okay, should work for now. If we have to make some edits, we of course will. Control 1. At this point, and of course we don't have to worry about the fill because we're only working with the path in this example, we want to cut this image. And a mistake a lot of people make initially is to cut the image, select the path, and then when you go up to edit, paste inside, and I can see the train of thought because I always actually make this mistake somewhat myself. I think immediately about clicking paste inside. I've selected this, it's going to paste it inside, but we don't see it. Somewhere over here actually. If I turn on my layers panel, I can see that I have a masked object. I just don't see it in my image, and that's because Fireworks, there we go, will paste the item in place relative to the document coordinates it was taken from. Meaning, when I cut this out, Control X, regardless of what I click, and click Control V to paste, it pastes it in place. And this is even more important when you cut a document from another document. So let's say that these were two separate pages we had. I'll just cut this out, Control X, Control N, just create a new document, Control V. So what I have here is this document, or this image on this document. And I have a larger canvas over here with this image. If I cut this out, Control X, it's going to take the coordinates based on the top left-hand corner where this image was of this canvas. Control X, come over here, Control V, it pastes it in this document up in the top left-hand corner because that's where it was on the other document. Sometimes this gets confusing when you're moving documents around in mask and you think it's underneath there, you didn't use the right type of mask. It's there, it's just put where it was taken from. So what we want to do is move this into place and then cut it out so that it's on top of the masking shape initially, so that when we do paste it, we'll be able to see part of it. So Control X, select our shape, and go to Edit, Paste Inside, and there's our web page. So obviously we know, and we noticed this ahead of time, that this page was way too big for this monitor, for this screen size. So what we want to do now is create some edits on it, resize it, and transform it a little bit so it looks like it's actually put inside of the monitor right here. So we'll go ahead and do that next. If we go over to the Layers panel, we drag this over. You can see the mask is right over here. We also have this link button between the two. And this link button basically locks the mask to the masked object, which means if I select it, either one, click the Q key and resize it, not only does the image resize, but the mask does as well. And you can see it's smaller in the thumbnail. We undo that. If we go ahead, and of course we could just ungroup these and then perform the edits, but we really wouldn't have the benefit of being able to see what it looks like under the mask. You can click on the link button to unlink the two. Now, if I click on my scale tool, resize it, that's still there, and I know it's still there because I can move it up and see that the mask has not moved. The mask is still in place right there. But now I can move and work with each of these items independently. And I could also resize the mask as well and make the mask larger. So before I get too far away, let's go ahead and undo all this. And I just want to make sure that they're unlinked. So that's just a great way that you can work with your, especially your masked object, if you need to reposition it or resize it, and you can keep the mask in place to see exactly where it's going. But real quick, let me change the stroke. I forgot to change that. Because we're working with the paste inside, we are doing path outline, and it does show the fill and stroke. And in this case, I do want to use my stroke, and I'll set it to a gray, so it just looks a little bit more realistic in there. So I can also, in addition, move these independently of each other. If I click on this one, you can see I'm moving the actual web page, but the mask is not moving. Select the sub-selection tool, click on the mask, click on the mask handle, and we can move the mask around if we need to reposition that. But in most cases, you don't want to reposition the mask, you're just repositioning the masked object. So let's click on the Q key again for the scale tool. We are on the screen grab, the masked object. We'll just resize this a little bit. So we can't bring it down. And now we just want to do a basic skew on it. Bring these two in a little bit. Kind of line up this yellow line up top so it looks a little bit like he could be viewing this page. And maybe a slight rotation. Let's see if that works at all. Okay, that'll work for this example. Probably want to mess with it a little bit more. Maybe rotate it just a little bit more too. Okay, looks good. Before I continue, I do want to relink these so that they are back together. So just click once in between them. It links them up. Everything moves together. And I am now set with a paste inside as well as a modified masked object.